Hey everybody, welcome to a very special bonus episode of the Sitdown. I'm Mike Recine. With me is Matt Anderson.
Hey.
Frank couldn't be here today, but we have a special guest, my friend Nick Mullen.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about probably the biggest cartel that I know of, and it's full of Jews.
This is like a mob-themed podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's all about crime, organized crime.
Yeah,
but, you know, I guess you would say the kid fucking in Hollywood is pretty organized.
Yeah.
And it's pretty criminal.
Well, there's no real transparency, so you don't know to what degree it's like organized or if it's just like something that everybody does, and it's like, yeah, I guess you just don't talk about it.
Right. It could just be one guy who's one
No,
PA
it's
or
definitely like half of them.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite a few.
Well,
if you're gonna believe the theories, you might as well just go full tilt and say, yeah, it's all of them.
Okay. Like everybody.
Well, no, like
From the
if you have good parents, like it makes your child like a harder target. So it's like the predator kind of like chooses the weaker, like if their parents are getting divorced or.
Okay. You've been doing a lot of research on this lately, right?
Yeah,
It's kinda
well,
like
a lot
your
of
thing.
research, a lot of jumping to conclusions. You
Right.
know. It's not something that it's like, there's no Wikipedia page. It's like the Hollywood pedophile,
Right.
network revealed.
So let me ask you, where are you finding most of this information?
I piece it together from blind items and then accusations on Twitter, but like half of this stuff was like coming up during Pizzagate, and like it was all just sort of dismissed as like part of Pizzagate at large as this like alt-right.
Okay.
Like, because when the alt-right does, even Pizzagate, like everybody that was involved in Pizzagate or these accusations, it's sort of done with like it's half joking, half serious. And I mean, a lot of people I feel become alt-right because you just sort of go too far with irony, and then it's like, yeah, no, you should call for a Holocaust. Wouldn't it be funny if we had another Holocaust? And it's like,
right.
yes, it would, but we can't do that.
Yeah, it's like, where's the line? Those alt-right guys, they are pretty funny. I mean,
they're fun, and that's my
they're
favorite.
no
part
Trevor Noah, but
yeah, that's my favorite part about them is that they took comedy away from liberals, which is like something that liberals have deserved for a long time.
right.
But I guess so a lot of it came out of is like attached to Pizzagate because all of it's tied together. If like the idea is that elites are secretly fucking children, like it's going to involve politicians at some point.
Okay.
I mean, like that flight record with Kevin Spacey and Bill Clinton, on the Lolita Express together is like, I mean, Epstein is a convicted pedophile, know. I mean, there's like, why are they going to that island? You know, I mean, I think they went to Africa too, and there was one trip to Africa where Clinton like made sure he didn't have a security detail with him, which he has to do like paperwork to make sure that doesn't happen.
Sure.
So the logical, Occam's razor, they were raping children.
Right.
I mean, that's like the only thing it could be.
Yeah, what else are they doing? There's like some African souvenir shop or something that he really likes, or just embarrassing.
Well, also on that same trip was Chris Tucker.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, his name is in the flight logs, and I just read something that was like, oh, no, it's not the Chris Tucker from Rush Hour, but I wouldn't put it past the alt-right guys to protect Chris Tucker.
Right. This is the kid fuck island of Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
I'm the president, I'm the emperor, I'm the king.
Right. Do you understand the cum coming out of my dick?
Oh, my God. Onto a little boy's forehead.
Yeah, he fucked Jackie Chan's entire family.
Yeah, you know what?
Sex trafficked.
You know what?
everyone.
Good. I don't like Jackie Chan's family.
I love Jackie Chan. If
Yeah.
he was somehow implicated in all this, I would be so disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of heroes left, but
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's not like, child fucking islands or whatever, there's been accusations surrounding like certain people in Hollywood that just have always been there, and they have enough money that they can sue whoever says anything, and it just goes away. And that's the way it's worked, historically until social media. I mean, the Harvey Weinstein doesn't go down if it weren't for Twitter.
right.
Yeah.
If there's not this network of people to get behind to force journalists to report these stories or whatever, or not just be threatened by. It's actually one lawyer in particular that like handles all of this shit. This guy Marty Singer, who is like his job is to cover up dirt that's been done by celebrities by threatening people with lawsuits.
Wow. What does he look like? Is he like a Liev Schreiber type, like a Ray Donovan?
No.
Because I think he would be
definitely something Schreiber.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like kind of like a froggish. He sort of looks like Kissinger. A little
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
Okay. You would be good at that job, Nick, to be like a Hollywood fixer.
Would I?
I think so.
I don't know. I'm not good at damage control.
Yeah.
I think, and if we've learned anything, like the best way to deal with something is just to ignore it, especially with social media.
Right.
Any kind of attention you draw to something, because like traditionally, the method these people could employ is threaten lawsuits,
Right.
and you can't threaten to sue 100,000 people that are all saying the same thing. It's just not going to fucking work. And even if you did threaten like an individual Twitter user, like that story would get out and everyone would be tweeting it,
Right.
because
right.
there's no accountability. Yeah. There he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's like, he shows up.
Looks like Tom Arnold a little bit.
I imagine he shows up eating Fun Dip when he threatens you.
Yeah.
It's just like something really creepy.
Yeah, he was Cosby's lawyer. He's Charlie Sheen's lawyer. He's Bryan Singer's lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, he like defends all these people. And like him and Cosby finally had some falling out once it was like 1 million women accused him, but he was with Cosby for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you shared that Charlie Sheen thing. How did that like go away so quickly?
I was talking to, go-to gay Tommy O'Malley.
No.
He does the podcast with Karen.
Okay.
His theory is that people just don't give a shit about boys being sexually assaulted, which is like kind of true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like if it's not like, I mean, Sean showed us that screen cap as somebody that was like, yes, men get sexually assaulted, but Me Too is for women. So we need to just like push this shit aside. And it's like, I don't think people have the emotional wherewithal to deal with the fact that like young boys are being raped by Hollywood.
Right.
Because if it is a real thing, I mean, it is, it just is.
Yeah.
And like to have to deal with that, I mean, there's so much like cultural unraveling that has to happen. Like if you found out that Steven Spielberg was raping children, you'd be like, we should probably rewrite the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, there's like so much shit you have to go back and
absolutely
like take out of what it means to be an American if like, these cultural, icons are just sick to brave people.
Right. Or Tom Hanks or somebody. Or just like,
Tom Hanks is supposed to be one of the good ones, though. It's not Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
No.
If you had to put money, who would you say? Maybe I'll name a celebrity and you tell me if you think they fucked a boy.
No, I
think
it's
a game we play every show.
Look, I mean, my interest in this like was peaked 2 weeks ago, and it started with, Bryan Singer, who I had known about prior to this as being like a pedophile. But even in my own, like I was like just sort of complacent towards it. It was like, oh yeah, the usual suspect guy is a pedophile.
Yeah.
I would just like sort of be like, yeah, I guess people are weird. Like I just I didn't think about it really.
Yeah.
But all of this Weinstein stuff started happening, and somebody else accused Bryan Singer, who's been like dogged by accusations throughout his entire career. And someone else accused him, and then the guy who accused him of raping him, his like Twitter disappeared, and then there was like 5 articles written about the accusations that were like scrubbed from the internet, which is like you have to have a lot of power and a lot of money to get those articles pulled. It's not like just Bryan Singer by himself probably doesn't have that amount of power. And then I watched this documentary that I'm sure a lot of people have seen, An Open Secret, and that kind of like, that was like, it ties a lot of people into this thing, and it's a lot of people that have been accused of molesting people and sexually assaulting them, and they just sort of get away with it. But
has Bryan Singer worked since this stuff has happened, or?
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm sorry to be ignorant.
And the accusations have always been there. I mean, like the first thing, actually years ago, the first time I saw Apt Pupil, which Bryan Singer directed, it just felt like a movie about a man that wants to fuck boys.
Right.
I mean, it's like the story is, it's like the Stephen King story about a kid who discovers, Brad Renfro discovers that his neighbor Ian McKellen is like an escaped, concentration camp, commandant or whatever. And then so he like blackmails him and he's like, tell me everything about like the Holocaust or whatever, like, being a Nazi.
Right.
And then they have this almost bizarre, like pederastic relationship between the two of them. And then there's this gratuitous like shower scene in the movie that like it just felt like a movie
It's just
like it
Ian
wasn't
McKellen
about
showering.
Nazism. It was
Yeah.
about like men that fuck boys in this secret world of boy fucking.
Yeah.
And then I like Googled the movie, and of course, Singer was accused of like making a bunch of extras like strip naked for the shower scene, and then they just like squashed it.
So the Nazi thing was like tacked on.
No, I mean that's the story, but like artistically, it feels like it is about pederasty. I mean, if like it seems like him trying to justify this dark thing in the relationship between, the two of them, and that was always like sort of creepy to me.
Yeah.
And then, but no, Bryan Singer like did all the X-Men movies. I mean, he's a producer on all of them. He still works. Yeah, and then I mean, it's in they mention it in the documentary, but the guy who does the commentary on the first X-Men movie with Bryan Singer went to jail for molesting a kid. And he's also good pals with Dan Schneider, and he was on all that.
Oh, he was.
Yeah,
Who?
this guy Brian Peck.
Oh, okay. Is he related to Josh Peck?
I don't know.
Okay, because Josh Peck was on. Yeah, Drake and Josh, another Nickelodeon
okay.
show that Dan Schneider probably
Yeah.
produced. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't watch Drake and Josh.
Oh,
I'm not
I do.
actually a fan of Nickelodeon shows.
Okay.
I'm more of the pedophile conspiracy theory.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
it's good. We get different experts on different stuff. you know?
Yeah.
I'm,
Well, it's just like you start looking at this and like how all these people are like connected professionally, and it's just like this is weird. It's a weird to the degree in which like if there is like organized pedophilia, because like, some of them are just convicted pedophiles. Like they went to fucking prison for it.
right.
And then after that, afterwards they toned down their involvement with each other after, because the defense is like Brian hasn't talked to Brian Peck in years. He was accused prior to that happening. It's like, yeah, but Bryan Singer also has his own accusations that like can't go 4 years without someone accusing him of molestation or rape.
Yeah.
He was named in a lawsuit by this guy, Michael Egan, in 2014. And the guy that took his case was like a pretty prominent sexual abuse lawyer that handled a bunch of cases involving the Catholic Church. So he wasn't just some like fucking, sleazy lawyer.
Yeah.
And he believed
This was like his thing.
It was.
Yeah.
And the lawsuit named Bryan Singer, Gary Goddard, Garth Ancier, and David Newman. Who were all just, I mean, people don't really know who any of those guys are, but I mean, Garth Ancier was like this big shot in terms of programming. He like programmed almost every network. He was like the VP of programming when he was like 28 years old. Newman was at Disney, I think. I mean, they're like powerful producers or whatever. So the lawsuit was like big and far-reaching for him to go after all these guys. And then they found some inconsistency in Egan's story, and the whole case fell apart. And then those guys sued Egan's attorney, and he had to pay like $1 million. Like they came down hard on the attorney, and the whole case fell apart.
Right.
But Gary Goddard, who was like named in the lawsuit, who's still good pals with Bryan Singer, was just accused by Anthony Edwards, Goose from Top Gun, said he was molesting me. And then Goddard just sort of said, blanket denial or whatever. This was this week. Blanket denial. So I didn't do that. And then someone else came forward now. So you have like two people accusing Goddard. But they're part of like this whole little crew of like, Bryan Singer pool party boy fuckers.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think they realized they like to fuck kids first, or they liked movies first?
Um,
Like maybe they all met in like a pedophile club, and they were like, let's go
Yeah.
into the movies.
I think there was probably
the
just
other way
always pedophiles in Hollywood. I mean, it's like it's hard to talk about why that would exist without immediately getting into like homophobic, because people raise their eyebrows when I've like made this argument, but like
Right.
I would think that in Hollywood, where it embraces all these like, sort of deviants and artists or whatever, but it's also just backed by shit tons of money. So there's like, it's this weird territory where is it sexual expression and freedom, or is it rich people fucking whoever they want?
Right.
And, historically when homosexuality was seen as like deviancy or whatever, also pederasty and pedophilia would fall under that umbrella. Like the barring like an identity of being like, you know, LGBT as distinct from pedophilia, if like everybody's just being
That's like a new thing, right?
yeah, if everyone's sort of being lumped into this category of amoral, sexual, deviant, or whatever, it would be easier for people to fuck kids to just sort of exist on the fringe without being extricated from those communities.
Mm-hmm.
So if there were like pedophiles that were part of this, like, you know, just sort of like fucked up subculture in Hollywood or whatever, I can see how it would create this shelter for them, and then they would, you know, the cycle of abuse continues, you know, throughout the last 40, 50 years. So people like Charlie Sheen, who was probably fucked himself as a kid,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, is in, you
Yeah.
know, fucking Corey Haim or whatever.
Right. Yeah. What was the documentary that you watched?
I watched the Open Secret last
Yeah.
night to prepare for this. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. And then like the more, I mean, again, it is just like conspiracy theory, and you have to like, you know, it's all just conjecture, I guess. But there's like so many things that are like Martin Sheen. A lot of people accuse Martin Sheen of being like a pedophile and head of this, like, you know, like he gave over his boys to whoever or whatever, and that's why Charlie Sheen's so fucked up.
Right.
But then you look at Martin Sheen's life, and he was like heavily involved in the Catholic Church, you know, and like we all know what they do.
Yeah.
So maybe, you know,
Yeah.
maybe he learned how to fuck boys in the church,
Right.
and then brought that over
He's
to
going to
Hollywood.
take my skills to Hollywood. Yeah. Yeah.
Trained in the church.
He was like the LeBron of kid fucking.
Right.
I'm gonna take my talents. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think when you hear people talk about like Woody Allen? Because that Manhattan's a good movie, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess what am I getting at here? You think he did it?
I don't know, man. I like I might have to revisit the Woody Allen thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember my initial impression of that. Because didn't it hinge on some kind of like recovered memory thing?
I'm totally unfamiliar with him.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she didn't remember it happening, but then, and recovered memories are sort of bullshit.
Yeah,
You know, it's
right.
like, for the most part, people don't think that that's like a real thing, that you can like be hypnotized and then suddenly remember being raped as like a 3 or 4 year old.
Yeah. Also, I heard Mia Farrow didn't really like him.
Yeah.
She had a problem with him. So
Yeah. So it's like, is that, you know, a mom telling her kid or whatever? And then I know, like, I think Ronan Farrow has gone back and forth in terms of whether or not he believes it.
Yeah.
The thing is like that, like people that are, it's not, my interest in all of this isn't singular instances of like somebody abusing kids. It's a network of people and a conspiracy, you know, doing it that
covers
you know,
for each other. And
yeah, it's mostly it's that.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like, the idea of like some kind of big collusion. I mean, there's always going to be fucking pedophiles, and sometimes they're going to be in positions of power. What you would want is if there was a pedophile, that those communities operate like a normal one would, where it'd be like, yeah, this guy fucks kids, he should be in jail.
Right.
You know, and not like a whole crew of people that fuck kids that just continue doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's like disturbing about it.
The kid fucking crew.
Yeah.
Well, I cleaned out Woody Allen's basement when I worked for Got Junk, and he wasn't there, but Soon Yi was there, and she was very like strange. Like I've never met a person who like behaved that way. She was kind of all over the place.
Korean?
And
That's his
What's that?
daughter.
In Korean.
yeah. It's just that was the only Korean person I met.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
his,
weird
his
people.
daughter was. They sure are.
Yeah.
I'm glad we get to cover everything. See, this isn't just an organized crime podcast. We're also going to talk about how Koreans are weird.
Well, the Bryan Singer shit all goes back to David Geffen. Like the theory is that because David Geffen has like $8 billion. I also get a lot of information just from this one blind item blog in particular, Crazy Days and Nights,
Okay.
which had like a bunch of reveals, I guess, while all this Weinstein shit was, you know, going on, that they called all this stuff years ago or whatever, or months ago. But they had a blind item on there about, and this is a true story. This is real, at least the part where so Don Henley of the Eagles in 1980 was caught with like 2 underage girls in his. I mean, like he had to call the paramedics because this like the paramedics show up. There's a 16-year-old. She's completely naked. She's overdosing. There's a 15-year-old there too. and then they found like 22 grams of cocaine and a shit ton of Quaaludes or whatever. And Don Henley was able to just be like, those are her drugs. I don't know how they got here.
Oh
I didn't
my
know she was
God.
16. I didn't have sex with them. So he got like a contributing to delinquency of a minor charge and paid like a $2,500 fine. Never mind the fact that there is no 16-year-old in the world that has 22 grams of cocaine on them.
Right.
Yeah.
No one travels with that amount of cocaine.
No.
It's just not realistic,
yeah,
you know.
it's
And
like
it
a
sort
good
of just
lawyer.
went away.
They found it in his hotel room, or they?
This is in his house.
Oh wow.
So they were in his house on Mulholland Drive, and they caught him with that. Now, according to the blind item, the story is that Geffen and the Eagles manager like paid off all these cops and shit, and got the case moved over to this detective, who in the 1980s was like a sort of like a hot shot in the Vice unit, but then in the 1990s. Like 15 years after this story, he was arrested for going around mugging people and raping them. So he was like this crooked cop that was like planting evidence and shit, and that all came out years later.
Yeah.
But they got the case moved over to this detective, and then everything was sort of bumped down and covered up or whatever. But in the blind item, they imply that the 15-year-old, not the 16-year-old, because the 16-year-old wound up dead a year later, but the 15-year-old, I guess, grew up, married some politician, and she has like evidence of this cover up that's going to like hit the news cycles in early 2018.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Which would be crazy. I mean, it would implicate all these people,
Right.
which is, well, yeah, that's still pedophilia. But it's the kind we embrace, which is rock stars fucking 14-year-old girls.
Right.
Yeah.
The one that the kind that everyone's okay with.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that like there's so many entertainers, and that is just like part of their identity, kind of.
Yeah, that's why it's so funny, because like Charlie Rose went down today for like showing his dick to women, and it's like, if we apply this to literally any musician ever,
Right.
there would be no music industry tomorrow.
I know.
Like the amount of people that could be called out. Like the
Yeah.
only reason what Charlie Rose did was like unacceptable is because he's fucking Charlie Rose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This like soft spoken,
And
sort
it's
of-
not that intimate. Yeah.
right, exactly.
Like
It's-
you wouldn't say that about like Suge Knight or somebody.
Yeah,
or-
exactly.
yeah.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, if fucking Ozzy Osbourne was accused of, being naked in front of a woman, people would be like, yeah, that sounds like something he would do.
It is funny to picture Charlie Rose being like, "Come into my office," and he's completely naked.
Right.
I don't know. I guess that must have worked. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird to like turn on Charlie Rose, because I'm sure that worked for somebody at some point, and he thought that was okay to do.
Yeah.
I don't think that was like a thing specific to Charlie Rose. I'm trying to do a podcast with him. That's why I'm.
Charlie.
Yeah.
You
But,
looking up David Geffen on the computer?
Yeah.
He looks like Berg, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Him and Berg have the same face.
You want to fuck me
Yeah.
for $1 million?
Jeez, what do we got here? Two 10-year-olds? I bet I could fuck both of them. Look, this one's got a huge Puerto Rican cock.
Does David Geff? He preys on men, women,
Young boys.
young boys.
Yeah. I mean, he was like implicated in that in the Open Secret documentary.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too that's crazy is Amy Berg's movie prior to that got an Oscar nomination, and then she like just said, "Okay, well, let's expose pedophilia in Hollywood." And they're like, "Oh, no, nobody wants to see this."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're not going to get
Yeah.
distribution for this. Just go ahead. Just don't. You know what? Don't even make the movie.
Right.
Just go, why don't you just delete it from?
So what can be done about this besides like social media and podcasting?
Well, I mean, it sounds like.
Well,
How do we beat the streets?
Yeah,
Get this
the
out?
answer is nothing.
Yeah.
The answer, like, if that's the scariest part, is that if you found out there was this ring of Hollywood pedophiles, people would be mad for 2 weeks and forget about it. Because look at the Weinstein thing. I mean, that's still going on, but Weinstein himself is kind of like fine now.
Right.
And it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The Manhattan DA's office was planning on indicting him like a week and a half ago, and it just didn't
It's
happen.
not gonna happen.
It's probably not going to happen at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, maybe it will, but like as of right now, they're just not going to do it for rape. For
Yeah.
not for like for like straight up raping, HIV pos de la Huerta.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
what I like
think?
to
Do you
call
think
her.
maybe
that's
that?
a fun joke I do about her? HIV pos
Who's that?
pos de la Huerta. He raped Paz de la Huerta.
Oh, I didn't even.
But I call her HIV pos.
I'm sorry.
It's like bug chasing.
Yeah.
She's HIV positive. She's not, but
Right.
you know, her name sounds.
It's very funny, and I didn't make the connection. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
So what do you think? I mean, do you think that maybe like white women are too selfish and they lack empathy and they only care about their own harassment?
Sure.
And
Yes
they don't
and
care
no.
about kids. Yeah.
You know.
Does this come back to white women need to be
Well, I mean, it is funny. Like with like all the identity stuff, it's like for white women and like rich white gay men to not think that they're like next in line once they kill all of us.
Right.
I mean, come on. Like, look at Lena Dunham's fucking stupid ass this week. You know, like. Unfortunately, this is one of the 3% of rape cases that's a lie. She straight up called that woman a liar, dude.
Yeah.
And like,
That's
but
insane.
that's not, you know what? That's not atypical behavior for Lena Dunham. She's like done this shit for fucking years, and she's just been able to be like, yeah, I'm a feminist, and people are like, well, I guess
I'm the voice of my generation.
right? She's a woman, so we're gonna have to listen to what she says. If she insists, if this rich celebrity woman insists that she's a fucking feminist or whatever, and she cares about oppression, then there's no way she's fucking lying about it. And time again, people learn that it was fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they can bring down Lena, they can bring down anybody.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of that case, though? I mean, like, why would her and her showrunner release a joint statement saying that it was made up?
According to, again, blind items, Murray Miller was his name.
Yeah.
They didn't say what it was, but I'm sure he has been privy to her just straight up saying the N-word on numerous occasions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I wouldn't put it past Lena Dunham to be like straight up fucking racist in her to the same way that comics are.
Right.
The thing about Lena Dunham is that Lena Dunham is just like, if she were a
she's
rich
letting it
white
fly?
man, she
Yeah.
would be like any one of my friends.
Right.
You know, it's
Piece of shit.
just a piece of shit. I mean, she is just a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's just this, like, she kind of has to be two-faced for her career.
Right.
Behind closed doors, I'm sure she's doing ironic racism all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I mean, it was probably, they felt, okay, well, we got to protect Murray because, you know,
She just has a bag of racist
truth.
props at her house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chinese hats and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Blackface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have came out swinging like that, though? He's like, if you don't come out and release a joint statement for me, I'm going to tell everybody about your China hats. And
No, I think people are like,
It's a mutual.
you know, they weigh loyalty and preemptively, you know, do things like that just in case, you know. Everybody's always now sort of positioning themselves to defend against some kind of upcoming accusation. You know, I mean, half the people I know that are woke are just doing it because they weren't 2 years ago.
Right.
Which is like so stupid because the answer is to just have integrity and consistency.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I've said plenty of racist and sexist things. You can go find them. I'm not going to try and delete them. And if you confront them with me now, I'll be like, yeah, I still think those things are funny. And then that's the end of the argument. You can't say anything else to me.
Right.
I disagree with you in the concept that, you know, you're not supposed to say certain things.
Right.
But for, I don't know, a lot of people I know, a lot of people I'm friends with, you just watch them say, oh yeah, no, it's fuck. They just pretend like the 2013 didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, no, why would you ever say
I was a
thing
different person and I've grown a lot.
No, you're the same person. You're a coward.
Right.
You're still the same coward that you were back then.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Everybody's got dirt. What do you think of why does Corey Feldman need $10 million for this movie that he's making? Is that for protection?
Because
or?
I would assume that Corey Feldman probably also molested kids.
Really?
I think it's a cyclical abuse pattern to the same extent that like the guy that accused Charlie Sheen of raping Corey Haim was the one that people for years they theorized he was the one that did it. And the descriptions of the Charlie Sheen Corey Haim thing on the set of Lucas sound like they had a consensual relationship.
Sheen and Haim?
Sheen and Haim.
Yeah.
But that Sheen was just sort of like, you know, an asshole, you know, and was like, yo, I don't fuck. Like, Haim was like in love with Charlie Sheen.
Really?
But I don't think it was Haim, like Charlie Sheen that turned Haim out. I also think that Charlie Sheen was probably like 13 and someone was like, this is just what guys do.
Yeah.
Which
That
is what he said to
documentary.
Haim. Yeah. And it's just this, you know, cycle that continues. I mean, that's the way the samurai used to work.
Yeah.
The samurai would just all fuck boys, and then the boys would grow up and be samurai, and then they would fuck their own boys.
Right.
Yeah.
And then how is the cycle broken? Just from like shit porn or something when they start shitting on each
you
other?
gotta fucking drop an atomic bomb on them. I tell you how it stops. Internment camps.
Jesus. Hell yeah. Dude, I fucking love podcasting. It's the greatest thing to do with your life. Yeah, well, so it's like, yeah, because my grandparents are always like, don't let anyone tell you we shouldn't nuke Japan. I didn't know it was because of that. It was to stop the boy fucking.
Yeah.
Samurai boy fucking.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you think
I think
Feldman,
I think Feldman probably, because the way like Feldman defended Michael Jackson,
Mhm.
and it's kind of a thing like like guys who get like turned out in prison,
Mhm.
they'll start having their own like relationships with other prison punks, and then eventually there'll be like people lower on the tier than them,
Mhm.
and they're sort of like the head bitch of the prison punk population or whatever. I think that there exists people locked into that cycle of abuse where they might be horrifically abused as a kid, and then they get older, and then they see themselves, well, kind of like Michael Jackson did, as this like Peter Pan style protector of children
Okay.
who just sucks their dick a little bit.
Right.
You know, like it's
Right.
not, he's like, I love the children. I want to protect them from the horrors that I experienced. And then
Yeah,
maybe
because
also
Feldman was pretty vehement about saying that Michael Jackson's not a pedophile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Paul Mooney would say that too on stage. He'd go, he's X-Files, but he's not a pedophile. And then
what the
Elizabeth
fuck
Taylor,
does that mean?
Michael Jackson, he was
Oh.
saying like he's weird, but he's not a pedophile.
Yeah. Did Paul Mooney die last year?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Let me check.
fingers crossed.
Did you have any experiences with him? Or?
No.
I was a doorman at Caroline's. He was a nice guy.
No, I don't have any.
He would
problems
do a
with
lot
it.
of time though. No, he's 76.
So he's coming up on it.
It's so funny because when I worked there, he would like white people would walk out and they'd be like, "He's just playing the race card up there." And Paul liked when I told them about what they would say. He'd be like, you know,
Bring me the comment cards, the white comment cards.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if Feldman has that shit. I also think he's probably is legitimately worried about, his well-being.
yeah,
Because if you do name people, you do open yourself up to lawsuits or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
That's also like, who the fuck doesn't want $10 million?
yeah,
If I got fucking raped and I was like, my options are do the story for free or get $10 million, you bet your ass I'm going to try and get $10 million.
And they're going to try to
Here's
kill
a
you
question.
too.
Why do I need $23,000 a month for a podcast? I absolutely don't. But if I'm going to make rape jokes, I need that money.
yeah. But you're not begging for it. That's what the fans are giving you.
Sure, yes.
Yeah,
It's free market
That's how much
capitalism.
you're loved by by the cum boys and girls. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if Corey was, because there's weird stories with him and Haim where like, he's always talking about like he was my best friend or whatever, but people that were close to Haim said that Feldman was not Haim's best friend.
Okay.
That they weren't like hanging out regularly until that series happened. And Feldman like kind of has almost like a jealousy and spite, directed at Haim in a lot of, even when he was saying like, like the way he said, like an older actor took my friend Corey in between two trailers and Corey allowed himself to be sodomized. It's almost like he's enjoying, saying that Haim got raped or whatever.
Yeah.
And he also says on the set of Lucas, a film I wanted for myself, like he just openly admits his jealousy about, Haim's career or whatever.
Right.
That's the thing too, is you need to keep in mind that like abused or not, he's still a person from Hollywood, from that fucked up world. So
Right.
whatever that
Yeah.
creates, he's a part of that fucking monster.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. One of the guys in the end of that Open Secret, right? He's like a initial investor of Bitcoin. One of the
Brock Pierce.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Brock Pierce was like threatening people on Twitter last week. He was offering like a 10 Bitcoin bounty to anyone who could dox somebody accusing him of being a pedophile, which the 10 Bitcoin bounty is $30,000.
Yeah.
Which is
Holy
like,
fuck.
that's like serious. I mean, he has that money too.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, if that's not a huge red flag to people,
He could kill people with that money.
yeah.
It's like untraceable money.
Yeah, and it's like you think about like all the people that murder each other in regular life over the dumbest bullshit. Why wouldn't rich people be murdering each other? Why don't we hear about it all the fucking time?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that like, you know,
Heart attack gun.
heart
That's
attack
right.
gun, that's one of them. But then even stuff like I was looking at like Sonny Bono again the other day, and it's like, yeah, he's an experienced skier, dies on an intermediate course, and then there's always coverage about how he was a prescription drug addict after he died, even though there was no prescription drugs found in his system in the autopsy. So it's like just like his head was like bashed in, you know,
Yeah.
like but like
Yeah.
it just doesn't. It
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that he was murdered, but I mean, like.
Right. He just hit the same tree like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or there was a publicist, this woman Ronnie Chasen, that was like murdered in 2010, and it was like the initial story was, I mean, she was in her car, she was driving her car, and they're like, yeah, it looks like it was a botched robbery, but it's like she was driving and she got shot. You can't just shoot some like
Yeah.
I'm going to try and rob this moving vehicle.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
Yeah.
And then the guy, the only suspect they had, apparently was going around bragging to people that he got $10,000 to murder her. And then as soon as the police department like questioned him, he like shot himself immediately. So it's like this
Really?
doesn't.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
They went up to him. They're like, "Can we ask you about this?" And he shot himself in the head.
Who was he? Jesus. Who was he bragging to?
His neighbors, and she was just some bum ex-convict that got paid to bump her off.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not really been much of a thorough investigation into who paid him off or why. And they said he was lying. You know, oh, you know, yeah, that didn't really happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Why do you think she was killed?
I don't know. I mean, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
But like,
Right.
that's clearly a case of somebody who was It was like
Yeah.
somebody was paid to kill
Good
that
money.
woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the Beverly Hills Police Department is just like, well, you know, whatever.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
10 Bitcoin to dox somebody.
Yeah, dude.
Jesus Christ.
And then, but Brock Pierce, again, is like, he was a child actor.
Right.
And like the vibe you get, and it, like from watching that show, is that Brock was probably fucked as a kid, you know, and then got into his teens, and they're like, now it's your turn to fuck boys.
Yeah.
And then he started to, because they have like documented email, you know, chains in between him and Mark Collins Rector.
Yeah.
You know what'd send you for a real fucking loop? Read Brock's deposition from when he came back to Florida after they were all arrested in Spain.
Yeah.
And it's nuts. I guess like Mark Collins Rector was convinced that David Geffen was going to have him killed. And so they hired this like guy that was like an ex-Marine who like specialized in kidnapping people to like protect them or whatever. It's insane. The whole story's fucking insane.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Crazy. So let's talk about the king of Nickelodeon,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dan
Do you,
Schneider.
do you think this guy makes
Let's
his-
talk about the guy who brought me hours of joy as a child.
See, I didn't grow up with cable, so I have no.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I don't have any
Okay.
loyalty to any of these people. I never
Okay.
watched Nickelodeon.
Okay.
If I somehow
guess I don't
found out
either. I don't-
that the heads of UPN had been doing this, you know,
Star Trek?
yeah. If I found out that
But even then, it
Lorenzo
wouldn't-
Lamas, you know,
Right.
and fucking.
I mean, it wouldn't be someone that you were connected to. I think Dan Schneider just made some cameos in like a Good Burger sketch.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen all that, or Keenan and Kel, or
I mean, I've seen an episode or two here or there, you know, at friend's house, but no, I didn't. Those weren't shows I watched growing up. I mostly just watched The Simpsons,
okay.
and then yes, mostly just UPN. Prior to that, Paramount Television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your shows on? What were your UPN shows?
I mean, just sort of. They had kind of shitty programming. Their big thing was Voyager.
Yeah.
That was their main show. Sentinel was pretty big. 7 Days was a pretty big show for them. And then they had some weirder programming at the end of the night. I mean, we've gone into all of this on our show, but
Okay.
they had SmackDown for a while. That was big for UPN.
Yeah.
And Shasta McNasty, which is one of the funniest. It was a star vehicle for Jake Busey.
Okay.
And it's Jake Busey and a couple other guys are in a rap rock group, and they live in a cool apartment in Venice.
Uh-huh.
And the first episode opens, and they're all like gathered around the TV, and they have a camera set up that looks into the apartment of the woman across the street. So they're illegally videotaping this woman undressing, and they're like,
It's like,
move out of the way, dude. I can't see you.
Oh my God.
They're committing a sex crime, and,
Right.
and fucking they're all like, and then they find out that the woman's husband is cheating on her, so they go to like warn her by planting a bra in her apartment instead of just like telling her,
yeah.
like, we can't tell her that we've been videotaping her apartment. So I guess at that point they have empathy for her or whatever.
Right.
So they have to go like plant a bra, and then there's like a long scene where they go into the apartment and the woman's parrot bites one of them in the dick. And then he like has to run around the apartment like, oh,
And it's like on it.
yeah,
It's
with
like,
a parrot attached to his dick.
It's funny hearing about it.
It's A story and B story.
That's the thing, man. I think back to like all the bad entertainment, and it's like the stuff that I come up with as like a joke, and it's like, were all those writers just doing the same thing I do now? Where it's like, yeah, of course, it's the stupidest fucking shit in the world.
Right.
I just want the $7,000 a week.
Right. It's entertaining. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we got to make points,
Yeah. I guess. I hate that, dude. I hate having to make points.
Yeah.
I just want to say dumb shit.
Yeah. Fraser was a pervert with his telescope. That's
Yeah,
like the same type of concept,
Yeah.
They had that all the time.
Because Noah Gardenschwartz was saying that like we're kind of in like the steroids of baseball era of entertainment, where it's like everybody did it, so you have to put an asterisk, in terms of like harassment.
Oh.
So you have to put an asterisk
Sure.
next to their name, and now we just have to move on. But I wonder if anything else is going to come out, 30 years from now that's going to implicate guys from our generation.
I can't wait
All
for
the famous podcasters.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you worry about that stuff? I mean, is there anything like from your past where you're like, I hope skeleton?
no, I
don't
try
know.
to not change, regardless of like what the consequences may be, because it's like it feels dishonest to me.
Yeah.
I don't buy the argument that jokes that I've made to private audiences somehow hurt marginalized people.
Right.
If like you're offended by something, there's always an option to not listen to me.
Right.
But the majority of people that get mad at me now, like if you're sitting around searching through old tweets of mine to find something that hurts your feeling,
Yeah.
like that's your fault.
Right.
That's not on me. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just not on board with that. So no, I try not to worry. Are there times when I've like crossed the line with like racist humor or like sexist stuff where I'm like, do I really know what I'm joking about? Of course I've done it.
Mhm.
And on a personal level to people I'm friends with, I'll apologize.
Yeah.
But it's like, my motivations are like just to be funny. I'm not trying to be some fucking like moral role model. I'm not telling you to live your life the way I do,
Right.
or that you should even, fucking try to push boundaries or envelopes or whatever.
Yeah. Why
That's
is
just-
everybody?
That's just my like inclinations. That's just what I want to fucking do. And like I'm like I don't feel bad about the things that I've done, so I'm not going to apologize for anything.
Good. I think that's a good way to live your life.
It's
Yeah, because it really doesn't fucking matter. I mean, that's
no.
that's the other thing too. That what you can kind of learn from Charlie Sheen is like, Charlie Sheen is probably one of the most evil people in the world.
Mhm.
I mean, not only did he fuck that boy, but if you read stuff from his like Denise Richards' deposition and in his divorce, like she caught him jacking off to child porn numerous times, and she would she was like crying, begging him to stop, and he would just go fuck yourself. Which is like the funniest response to getting caught doing the most shameful thing you could possibly do.
Right.
Is
Oh
get
my
the fuck
God.
out of my room. I'm busy.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
He's like Clint Eastwood, just
Yeah.
like totally stoic.
Shut
and,
the fuck up. Just turning the volume on the child porn up to drown out her complaints. And it's like, all right, Charlie, do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. I mean, if you're not going to apologize for it, we've tried.
Yeah.
There's nothing really more you can say.
Yeah.
Let the man live his life.
Right.
Jesus.
No, because I have friends in this business, and they seem like they just live their lives afraid that stuff's going to get taken away from them, and it just seems like a terrible way to exist.
Yeah, you really
Yeah.
can't. I mean, you can't. I mean, sure, things could be taken away from you, but fuck it. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Right. Yeah, you could always go drive a truck or something. and
Yeah,
there's
right.
like ways to make money.
Well, that's why I mean, like all of the bloggers that call for people to get fired, that's like the ultimate punishment for them because their job is fucking meaningless and they don't have any transferable skills.
Right.
What are they gonna do? Become a mechanic?
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna happen.
So Dan Schneider,
Yeah. Well,
this
yeah.
guy made a bunch of shows that Nick didn't get to watch. Were you a Nickelodeon guy?
No, I mean,
Who cares, right?
Yeah, I'm a little old for that.
He made all that. He made the
How
Amanda
old
Show.
are you?
He made iCarly.
31
That's not old for. No, that's not old for that at all.
for Nickelodeon.
Yeah, you would have to be in your like early 50s.
Well, I mean, like all these shows we're talking about are from like mid 90s, so I would have been like 11, 12.
Yeah,
I
that's a
guess,
child.
I guess that's okay.
That's younger than the boy Charlie
Yeah.
Sheen raped. Well, I was 11 and 12. I was already having sex with other guys. I was having consensual sex with adult men, so I was kind of past all that Nickelodeon shit.
Yeah.
So Schneider, he's got a foot fetish. He's had a history of sexual misconduct with young girls. Here's a statement that Robert Downey Jr. Released about him.
Was it actually
online.
Robert Downey Jr. or him?
It was him.
It's him.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's
conjecture.
They don't know if that's Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
In fact, it wouldn't make sense that it was Robert Downey Jr. doing that.
Why not?
I just don't understand why Robert Downey Jr. would be participating in like blind item blogs.
On a Reddit.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think this person, him, is just some random...
I think it's probably someone
person.
that works in the entertainment industry, but I don't think it's a celebrity.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah, wielding the name.
Well, here's what they said. He's a monster, the worst predator alive. And if you wonder why nobody will confront or charge him, he's in charge of multiple hit shows for Nick, which rakes in oceans of money. Tens of millions of dollars multiplied by many years and many shows, not to mention his merchandising royalties. So Viacom Nick warned him to cool it, then pay for his damn lawyers. What about the parents? No tweener parent who shoved their kid into the limelight from birth is going to cross him either and risk career suicide and loss of revenue. No matter how bad it fucks up the kids, especially if there's multiple kid actors in the family. And the kid agents are complicit too. Just ask the Spears family. A lot of settlements get paid out of Viacom's accounts. This is kind of the sad thing because these kids end up making so much money and then the parents are invested in their careers and the parents buy houses and cars and they can't break the...
Yeah.
Like their kid is like a revenue stream for them.
Yeah.
So even like your own father, not
Right.
going to protect you.
Selling you out.
Didn't Corey Feldman's dad sue him for like 40 grand or something, like the remaining 40 grand that he had in his bank account? I think what happened was he went to a lawyer and he was like, what were my earnings and what do I have left? And they were like, you earned $1 million, you have 40 grand left. And I think Feldman's dad tried to take that from him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, most of these kids that get exploited come from like poor families or a fucked up, living situation at home.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the story of the Heather O'Rourke, the little girl from like Poltergeist, is like Steven Spielberg discovered her in a restaurant with her mom. He like went up and he was like, I want to give your kid a job.
Yeah.
Imagine for a second that's not a movie producer.
Yeah.
That's just a grown man that goes up and says,
In
I
like
want to
another
spend
field,
time with your beautiful child.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck?
Right.
What is it in that? There's no way you can discern acting ability from just looking at a fucking kid in a restaurant. There's nothing other than just the physical elements of that child that says, I want to offer to buy your child, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like people just accept like, wow, what a dream maker.
Yeah,
Right.
I never
You know?
thought of it like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, he was just
Because
looking at a kid from across a restaurant.
No normal fucking person ever has that impulse.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if you work in like, something where you would have to cast, like I would never think,
Just someone
I'm
who
going to
found it.
approach this person and ask them questions about their fucking child.
Do you think it's illegal now too? Like present day laws? I bet.
Hold on, it was illegal to fuck kids then. This was never legal.
Is it illegal? Yeah, I meant like approaching
They
a
didn't
child.
make a law till after the Civil War.
Right.
Yeah.
And that little girl, by the way, is dead. She
is.
Yeah, she died when she was 13 from misdiagnosed. They said she had Crohn's, but she had like some kind of infection in her ass. And the story is that
Jesus
she
Christ.
was, raped to death, essentially, on the set of Jeopardy.
What?
Yeah, at Hollywood Center Studios, now Sunset Las Palmas Studios. I used to work there.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Heather O'Rourke. That's
Is
her
that on the
name?
tour?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would go around a lot and I would tell people that and be like, oh, cool. Yeah, what are you working on?
The real tour.
Yeah, you're working on James Corden's rap battle show. Hey, you know that little girl from Poltergeist?
She was raped to
She
death.
got
here.
raped to death on stage 6.
Oh boy.
Me? No, I don't work there. No, I had a badge from a job a couple years ago. Just come hang out. I'm in the audience for the next At Midnight taping. I just walk around telling people about a little girl from Poltergeist.
I love exposing pedophilia and I love puns.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if everyone who worked at Midnight was a pedophile. You know,
I wouldn't
allegedly. Allegedly.
From
Chris
Hardwick on down.
the entire writing staff.
They're like, we just want to get more women writers, POC writers, pedophiles,
Yeah.
trans. Yeah.
Well, who were the Dan Schneider's alleged victims? Real fast.
His alleged victims were
Right. Because they're big names.
Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Allegedly, he molested. That people think that's why she kind of like.
Yeah. Amanda
went off the
Bynes and
deep end.
Jamie Lynn Spears are the big ones.
Yeah. Well, Jamie Lynn Spears, they never. I mean, this is kind of like common knowledge, but they never named the father of her baby, and they think it's Dan Schneider. And actually, I have a picture of her baby. It's got a giant head and a pedophile haircut.
No.
It's just it's like she's like so young and pretty.
Kurt a couple years ago said Lindy West looked like Dan Schneider, and it was like one of the funny because he didn't say Dan Schneider. You know, he's like he has a funny way of saying everything, but he was like he's like a certain blogger that looks like Dennis Blunden from Ahead of the Class. They do look the same. They do have a very similar look.
I want to find pictures of her baby because maybe.
Do you think you could just go get a paternity test on your own? That's illegal, right?
Yeah, you'd have to get his DNA.
So,
well, here's what we'll do. We'll dress
undercover.
Yeah,
Adam up like a little girl.
Right. Do saliva tests on kids' feet. And then you pull his fucking.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The guy's got a major foot fetish, and you watch
yeah.
like his Nickelodeon shows, and there's just
well, he straight
bare
up
feet.
solicits feet pictures on Twitter.
Yeah.
On his Twitter, he's like, "Guys, send me pictures of your feet."
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah,
If people are accusing you of that, you have to at least be aware of it,
right.
And then you're gonna fucking go and do something.
Yeah, he does pool parties and stuff too, you were saying?
yeah. He has like pool parties at his house. Like no parents allowed pool parties.
That seems like the pedophile's go-to.
Yeah.
Pool party.
Yeah, they love pool parties.
Just gets it all done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Well,
stay away from pools, kids.
so she's
Stay
married,
away from
but
Hollywood.
they've
Let's
never
see
said
this baby.
No, that's her. I guess she looks like Schneider a little bit.
No, she looks Hispanic. I'm gonna go ahead. And
Schneider sounds Hispanic.
give Schneider the clear here. Yeah, that's some Latino's kid.
That's the sit down.
That's the classic
trying to
no
think of-
father Puerto Rican situation. I don't think that was a pedo. Sorry.
All right. Well, case closed. All right, Schneider, you're off the hook for that one. But you still raped Amanda Bynes, and then somebody told me he fucked the iCarly girl.
Jeanette McCurdy is one of the alleged victims, right? You pulled up her Vine.
Well, so there's been multiple comment threads about Schneider on Reddit, and one commenter alleged having her when she was working as an extra, she had her feet tickled by him for $100.
Oh,
yeah. So,
have you seen that Mindhunter? That new Mindhunter show?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the principal. He's like super into tickling children. It feels so
I
similar.
haven't gotten to that part.
Well, sorry.
Oh boy.
It doesn't ruin anything. It's just
I like that show because it's very stupid and it doesn't try to be smarter than it is.
right.
Mhm.
You
It's
know?
Fincher.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
really,
Fincher only directed the first one, I think.
Oh, the pilot.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
It's well shot.
yeah.
I don't know.
I was on a bit of a Fincher kick recently. I rewatched Panic Room.
yeah.
And I forgot how good it was. Then I watched Seven
It's with
again.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster and Dwight Yoakam.
Okay.
Nice. I just watched The Game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The game sucks.
It's so fun though.
No, it's a really bad movie.
Oh, Michael Douglas.
Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Douglas.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Michael Douglas probably also a pedophile.
I got pussy cancer from a little girl.
My doctor said it was actually from eating a child's ass.
I remember. Yeah, but apparently, so Jeanette McCurdy was on iCarly, and then she got a spinoff called. what
More
was
like
it here?
Bad Jeanette McCurdy.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Why don't you bring that vaginette in here? It's like a child's vagina.
Whoa, Dan.
She's got a vaginette. The 1984 Chevrolet Vaginette. 3 doors, 110 horsepower.
So she was on iCarly, and she was given a spin-off show called Sam and Cat, and it's alleged that she got a lot of Schneider's.
With the Ariana Grande, right?
The DICQ, baby.
But yeah, so she posted a Vine. She was like in a bathtub covered in bruises, and then she deleted it. But then she posted this shortly after this Vine.
Dan Schneider, I know you're watching my Vine. Do you like my Vine? Vine. Look what you've done to me.
Yeah, she's like the Joker.
It's weird, right?
I mean, that could
So-
just be some weird joke in between them, you know? Because at the same time, this guy, like, he's fucking him, right? But I'm sure he's not mean, you know?
He's just a kid at heart. He never grew up.
That's how a lot of these fucking, because, you know, like, there is a guy who listens to our show who's defending our show against some dumb bitch that was losing her fucking mind about, you know, me and how I'm like, you know, I say things or whatever.
Sure.
And there's the only trans person that listens to our show was like defending us against this woman. And they're going back and forth. And then someone who used to live with the trans woman is like, oh, by the way, she got arrested for downloading child porn in our apartment, you know, numerous times. And the trans person who's defending us was like, yes, that happened, but things have changed. So they're just like a pedophile. And they hit me up all the time still. And it's like, I was friendly with them. So, like, I can't be like, you know, don't, you know, fuck off or whatever. And I do have empathy for their situation. I mean, but the way they justified it was like, you know, it's more about like, you know, be like a youth, you know, being like young or whatever. It's like, they all say that. I mean, it's like, they don't, that's like what causes them to offend is that they don't see it as harmful behavior.
Yeah.
These aren't like people, this isn't the Clintons, you know, stabbing a baby to death and fucking all the holes.
Right. Your standard.
You know, it's not a satanic ritual being carried out by the Podesta brothers.
Right.
It's like more of a thing where they, you know, they see themselves as like, I'm just like a big kid. And, you know, it's like, oh, I'm having my first kiss with a girl. It's like you're 47 years old.
Right.
You know, that's like a 12-year-old.
Right. The Jack movie with Robin Williams.
Yeah, it's like that kind of shit. Yeah, we're like, let's all compare dicks, boys. You know, and it's like that. So, I mean, and that's what like tricks the kids into like just staying silent about the abuse forever because like they're conflicted and they don't understand.
Yeah.
So you think these kids have maybe like an emotional?
Yeah, I mean that's why victims blame themselves. It's because it's like they see themselves as like willing participants. You know? But it's like you're not really. You can't really consent. It's gonna fuck you up later in life. It's not like at the time. You know. That's why most of these people get away with it. Is because like the real trauma that happens with child sex abuse isn't when you're a kid. It's when you're 23 years old and you're like, you know. I wonder why I'm a fucking heroin addict, you know? And it's like, oh, right, because I was like raped repeatedly as a child and I don't know how to talk about it. And I have all these questions about my own sexuality and I kind of let it happen.
By a trusted authority figure.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's like, that's what makes it. It's like, because you destroy someone's life, you know, for the entirety of their life, you know, their entire adulthood is fucked now because of some like horny fucking pervert.
Yeah.
Right. Here's another Jeanette McCurdy Vine.
Working on a sitcom. Bruce. Maybe it's just because I'm anemic. Yeah.
So I guess that was the other.
It's an interesting way of processing it. So there's conspiracies around those vines.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she said, "Hey, Dan Schneider," in the other one.
He
But
sounds like a real
kinda-
piece of shit, though.
No, he's just a big kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Just wants to hang out.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, if you consider, look at him. He's like a fat nerd. Probably never fucked as a kid, and like now his thing is like, I'm gonna fuck all the girls that wouldn't fuck me when I was, you know, 15.
And he's gonna make them say what he wants in these shows.
Yeah,
and sell it to their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a coworker of mine who like told me about Dan Schneider, and he's like, "Yeah, ever since I found out, I was like, no, you're not gonna watch this."
What a
to his
horrific
kids.
looking man.
Oh, yeah. He's married though.
To what? A blueberry?
There's him and Jeanette. There's a rumor that he got Amanda Bynes pregnant and paid for an abortion.
Yeah. What about Ariana? Yeah.
What? Ariana what? I think
Ariana Grande too, right? It was like the four: Jeanette McCurdy, Ariana Grande, Jamie Lynn Spears, and Amanda Bynes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real shame. And Nick, I want to say thank you for coming on and telling us there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, there really fucking isn't, dude.
Yeah.
I don't.
I was gonna say we just hit time too.
You know, look at the Catholic Church shit. Some people got moved around and then they forgot about it. I mean, ultimately, like, because separate from all of that, like the pedophile stuff is like we are kind of in a moral sex panic right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And all that is going to happen with this is like eventually it's just going to be used by the police to put black people in jail. Like that's the only Harvey Weinstein's not going to get indicted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll be more of
It'll be like a guy who
What's that
catcalls.
thing we're supposed to be?
They're
going
gonna make catcalling illegal.
yeah, and guess who's going to
It's gonna be
fucking go to jail?
Yeah, I know.
It's suddenly we're gonna have to cancel the Puerto Rican Day Parade because the main event, the catcalling event, is now off limits.
That was my favorite part of the parade. Yeah.
What do we have to look forward to in 2018 though? Too like
that Don Henley story.
Yeah.
If that's real, and I believe it too because Don Henley's such a fucking insufferable asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He sucks, and the fucking Eagles are like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know it's like cool to hate the Eagles, which I think is too far, but like Henley has this idea of himself as being this like such a fucking important musician. He's just some asshole fucking millionaire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I hope he fucking burns in hell.
Yeah.
Look at his stupid face.
I'm gonna look for that in 2018, early 2018.
No, he's like one of those guys that's like, he feels like everyone. His disposition is like he thinks that everyone thinks he's a real tough guy, but he's not sure about it, so he just has to say it every once in a while.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like this like insecure kind of. I just hate him. I really fucking hate Don Henley.
Totally.
And I hope that story comes out, and I hope he fucking goes to jail.
All right, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
That's something to look forward to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that story's fucking nuts because it involves some important California politician. So some people are saying
Unnamed right now.
maybe Jerry Brown.
Oof.
Yeah,
Nancy Pelosi.
yeah. Could
She
be.
was the girl.
Yeah.
What a twist. What a
No, the
twist.
people think that the girl is Doug LaMalfa's wife.
Okay.
This woman Jill LaMalfa, because the age works out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Read blind items, guys.
Okay.
They're a lot of fun. You know, if you have bipolar disorder, it'll definitely, help really bring out the strongest elements of it. Really throw you into a fucking manic spiral. I've been like crashing this week because I was going nuts with all this stuff last week, and like now this entire week I've been sleeping like 16 hours a day, and
just overloaded.
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
no, I'm like crashing very hard. I can barely stay awake.
Well, thanks for coming here and getting it out. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go do Race Wars now.
Oh yeah. And also, guys, please listen to Come Town. It's my favorite show, and
So funny.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. And
Thanks, man.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of The Sit Down. Thanks for joining us.
R.I.P. Frank.
Bye.